District to order. Approval of the minutes. So does anyone have any questions or corrections for staff on the minutes?
No, I already vetted my issue. So good.
Show up on time.
I'll never be late again, I promise.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
Okay. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes.
Who's second?
Patty. Chairperson's report. I sorry I missed the community Christmas party, but the photos I saw on Facebook and board packet. Excellent. I know there's many choices public has, but for them to come out and the numbers that they did for first time daytime Christmas events since I've been on board, so that's 20 years. That was real nice. And kudos to the staff who decorated the exterior of the community center. It's very festive, so it really stands out. You know, with nothing else being decorated by other businesses in the area,
Right.
it's like that shiny star.
Cool. Thank you.
And the interior looks stunning.
Yeah,
I like Frosty.
There's
Probably the
That's
only
very
room around
sad.
here that has 4 Christmas trees in it. I only saw 3 and I did the 4th one.
yeah, there's a fourth one.
Only?
We spice it up.
There's a couple outside too.
I guess Sarah went into, according to staff, went into storage and found all these old Christmas trees that we decided to put them to use.
Bring them out.
I wonder if
Yeah.
my white ones are cleaning up and the plants that add it. Okay, comments from board members. Pat, yeah, I saw your
I can't say enough about the Santa. You know, the Christmas breakfast was phenomenal.
Yeah, Santa was good.
I've never seen an unusual Santa.
Yes, we had to go with different Santa this year. Our other one has retired.
Yeah, I can see that. But yeah, it's hard to get a natural bearded Santa.
Yeah,
You know, so
we got the Santa this year was great. So
that's good.
thanks to our friends over at Wheeling and Parks and Rec who advised us about the Santa and helped us out and set us up.
All right, awesome. Anyone else have any comments? Reports from standing committees, so it's just budget, finance, and audit, and it's going to
Under
report
10A.
later. All right, thank you. And administrator's report. Larry, do you have anything to add to the report?
Nothing. It's all there.
All right, thank you. How was the hunting trip?
And, well, there's always next year.
Was it fun? Did you have fun?
I did.
Okay, that's good. The truck didn't go sliding down the hill.
Oh, don't remind me of those things. My wife does enough to remind me not to have to.
I'm sorry, I'm an old married woman too. Scott, yeah,
I do have a couple things, and the first one's rather important, and I hope you consider it as good as news as we do, but received a phone call from the contractor who would be doing the installation of the playground equipment at Street Park on Wednesday, and we had taken delivery of the equipment last week, so that was accelerated, and he informed us that he had an opening in his schedule, and could they start tomorrow?
Wow.
So we met as a group, and Larry weighed in, and Sean and Sergio weighed in, and we decided let's take the opportunity and get it done. So they're going to start demolition of the old stuff tomorrow and haul it away. They'll break ground on the new stuff Monday morning, and they anticipate they'll be done by next Thursday. Cool.
Oh,
So,
nice. Taking advantage of the dry weather.
dry
too.
weather, and they've got a good-sized crew and an opening in their schedule. So the place, all the equipment is at the shop, and they'll have access to that with our staff assisting them. And by Thursday, if everything goes well. We should have that play structure up and ready for a soft opening. We're still planning on doing, Mark has already started the promotion and publicity of the new structure. In fact, if you go to our Facebook page, there's a link to a video that MRC provided us that gives you kind of a flyover effect of the new playground and what the kids will see. And we're anticipating, if it meets board approval and Larry's approval, the ribbon cutting ceremony at the somewhere around the February board meeting, maybe even the day of the February board meeting, kind of like we've done in the past. So we're excited about that. It kind of took us by surprise, but we consider it a good thing. Now we'll have a little bit more time to do some of the projects that we were going to do to enhance the facility and the park itself. Some pathways will be repaired and reconfigured. So yeah, it's happening very, very quickly.
Nice little Christmas gift.
Yeah, Christmas.
Yeah,
Merry Christmas.
absolutely.
Excellent.
One other item, I kind of teased it a little bit in my facility maintenance update, but we are scheduled to begin the kitchen remodel in the community center. That project will start on Monday with demolition. We'll be taking all the cabinets off the walls that you've been in that kitchen. All the cabinets will come down, the old appliances will be removed. We're going with a more streamlined industrial look, so stainless steel fixtures, triple sink, new wall surface, new lighting, new appliances obviously. So Sean's been working extremely hard in the last month gathering all this information, purchasing this stuff. We've got 95% of it in-house and we're ready to go. We anticipate with the holidays breaking things up will be done probably at the end of the first week in January. So when we have our board meeting in January, perhaps we can take a quick walk there, just to show off and give you an idea of how it turned out. So yeah, so some exciting stuff going on in the meetings to do.
All right, any questions for Scott? All right, Mark?
I do not have anything else to add in my work. If you have any questions, feel free to ask.
Terry, all right.
Was Terry the reindeer though? I'm just.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm just checking. Okay.
You have to be there.
Okay, correspondence. So we received a letter from LAFCO and they appointed a couple of folks. So congratulations to people that appointed to LAFCO.
I think that those are the two we voted for.
Yeah, well, it must have been pretty unanimous across the board. We don't have to vote for them. Comments and reports from citizens and organizations. I'm missing folks. Come on out and visit us. Okay. Unfinished business, none. New business, the 2016-17 fiscal year audit.
Oh, I guess that'd be us bad.
Oh, this is what I'm supposed to say something. Let me think. So in front of you, you should all have the final copy of the audit. Inside the front page, there's a separate letter that's not bound. So this is what's called the communication letter to the governing board, basically. This is something that was started probably about 10 years ago, 12 years ago. And this is basically to us saying, you know, we did the audit. We didn't have any, you know, difficulties performing the audit. We didn't have any disagreements with management, blah, blah, blah. So, and when we met with them, they said everything went along fairly smoothly. The only one issue that is mentioned in the report as kind of a finding is, and I'm just being honest, I'm not trying to be mean or anything. So when a CPA firm comes in and does an audit, like for example, I'll use the county we just finished our audit. In essence, what is supposed to happen is you give the auditor a copy of your financial statements. They give you an opinion after they audit it, and it all goes together. In a small district like ours, it doesn't quite happen that way. The CPA firm would actually assist a little bit in putting everything together, help with the footnotes. I don't know how much they help with MD&A if you just took last year's. Yeah. So it just kind of really depends. Well, our previous auditor had done something that probably shouldn't have because of independence issues, because theoretically you can't give yourself an opinion on the work you do. So if the auditor comes in and puts everything together, all the numbers and everything, and then he puts an opinion saying, oh, everything's great, well, he's auditing his own work. So on page, I know I'm jumping back a little bit. So on page 29 of the audit, in the back, they made a recommendation for district staff to prepare a year-ending closing schedule, which again, that was really probably something they should have been doing the whole time, but our previous auditor just did it for us. And, you know, again, management, as you see their comment at the bottom, they agree they're going to start doing it. So now that I got all that out of the way, we'll go back, and I don't know if anybody had any specific questions on the audit when you went through this. I know Diane's seen this years and years, but Pedro and Pat, you're still fairly new to some of this stuff. So we had what's known as a clean opinion. Financial statements are fairly presented. There's no issues. If there was something where we deviated from standard accounting standards, then they would say, you know, everything's okay except for blah, blah, blah. Well, we don't have that. Or it could be bad as, yeah, we didn't do everything right. And that doesn't happen that often. It does happen. So the opinion is good. And then starting on page 3 is what's known as the MD&A, also management's discussion analysis. So, Larry, did you put this pretty much together, I think?
Yeah.
Yeah. So Larry actually puts this part together, so page 3 through page 7, based upon financial information, financial trends, and it's kind of a condensed version of some of the financial statements. So on page 5, my esteemed colleague on the Budget, Finance, and Audit Committee noticed that, hey, wait a minute, why did some of these numbers change so drastically? So based upon our meeting with the auditors, they had put the in lieu fees, correct? Yeah, the in lieu park fees, they had put it in recreation services? Mm-hmm. Yes, recreation services. And as you can tell, it's now under miscellaneous under general revenue. And you can see, because of the development, how much that has increased from $28,000, almost $29,000 to almost $164,000. Well, when that got thrown into rec services, it looked like our rec division was doing an awesome job. Not saying they're not, but it just kind of inflated that. So that was kind of brought up. So that's just something that I wanted to highlight and think. Another thing that we asked them to change. If you go to page 14, the notes. On the actual numbers, and again, if anybody wants me to go through all the numbers, we can do that in the, starting out on page, was it 9? Page 8, 9, and 10. Those are just schedules. When you get to, again, page 14, I think it is. Yeah, 14 are the footnotes for the financial statements. So this is kind of explaining what everything is. Well, under note 1A, reporting entity, under component unit, so we're going to have what we call a component unit, which is now the Community Facilities District for Alberta Park. So they put that in there, and one of the things I asked them, because they mentioned that, but we don't have any revenue expenditure, so it's not reported. So it's a little deceiving. So we asked them to put in there that no special tax has been received. So the reader kind of understands this a little bit more. Pat, if there's anything else you wanted to talk about, let me know. Other than that, I mean, it's all, I mean, I can go page by page, but I don't know if that really is going
looks good. I mean,
No,
we can't get any
well,
better
and,
than this with the size of our
Right.
district and the size of our staff.
right, and, you know, we met with Larry and I talked to Terry a little bit, and, you know, it is a new firm, you know, for Terry, and I get it. It's a new firm, it's gonna be scary, you don't know what they're gonna look at, what they're gonna ask for. But she thought actually everything went very smoothly. They asked for a lot of stuff in advance that you emailed to them, I believe. Yeah. So it sounds like it went really well. Now, the other thing is Clifton, Larson, and Allen, just to give you a little background on them, they are actually a national accounting firm now.
Oh, really?
Yes. These guys used to be called, if you remember, Bartlett, Basler, and Ray.
Okay.
Then they merged in with another firm called Galena, which is still kind of a local-ish firm.
Okay.
But Clifton, Larson, and Allen have been, for lack of a better term, swallowing up these small firms all over the country, and they now have a national presence. So, you know, if anything would ever happen that came up on one of our audits that someone in the Roseville office couldn't handle, they have resources all over the place now. So, and we met with, he was the senior auditor, yeah, because I don't know if it was going to be the manager or the partner couldn't be here.
The partner couldn't make it, but Dan Ibera,
Right,
who was the senior, was actually on site with this.
right. And he almost offered me a job for reviewing his. I found correcting him. I found that little thing. But you know, he basically said, "Well, it hasn't gone through final review." I said, "Don't worry about it. I'm just bringing it up." But with that all being said, if no one has any questions, I'll make a motion to receive and file the audit for 2016-27.
Let's have something real quick, just
Sure.
for all
No,
knowledge.
that's fine.
Does this change much? I mean, like, so from last year, I'm sure you probably got a book, something similar to this.
Yes.
So it's just
So, I mean, this-
updating it? Is that?
And again, this has some
Just
of
updating
the
it.
2016 numbers in there.
Uh-huh.
So if you go to, I think Larry's, in the management discussion analysis, if you go to like page 5, it shows you what happened in 2016, what happened in 2017. Just kind of a comparative type thing. And so the reports that we would get at the July board meeting for the end of June, it probably won't agree exactly with these numbers because there's adjustments that are made at the end to true up to whatever the actually is. Because there could have been, let's say, you know, we owed the attorney $2,000 for services that we didn't get in, but it was for last year. So you adjust all that. So it probably wouldn't like tie exactly, but within reason it should be there.
But one thing too, just for clarification, this audit obviously is for the past year.
Right.
The numbers are always going to be different than the previous year. So it's a whole new budget, a whole new expenditure. The format is similar.
Right.
The process is similar.
Okay.
But the numbers will never even come close to being the same. Oh, I can't say close, but.
Yeah, I was gonna say, if they are, then something's probably wrong, so.
But just on page 5, just if you look at it, you'll see that it says 2017, 2016. So at least you get a quick snapshot of just the kind of the final numbers. And as like Alan said before, we didn't have the kind of the park dedication funds that they had combined with, we had separated, and that really hasn't been done before. So going forward, it's probably going to look like this forever, I guess.
Right. Yeah. And technically, it kind of probably should have been, but, yeah. Any other questions?
They were good guys to work with.
Yeah, I know.
Larry was too, but these guys were.
You know, Dan seemed, I was pretty impressed with him, especially for being the level that he was. You know, he was pretty professional in our meeting, and, you know. And Larry actually handed out a little sheet with some green highlighting on there. And this was changes from the copy that we had to the, so that's what I thought.
In the final, they made some, I think they had some standardized language, boilerplate information, and they replaced it with this.
Right. Yeah, because they said something about our investment policy, and I read it originally, and I go, we don't have an investment policy, so, you know, they did have a lot of standard language they use for special districts, and we had to kind of tweak it to work for us, but overall, I was fairly impressed with, you know, a brand new firm.
I'll go ahead and second the motion. Okay, is there any further discussion or questions? All those in favor? Aye. Motion passes to accept the 16-17 fiscal year audit. Okay, 10B, Alberta Park parking. So,
I'll share with you a little update since this was written. I spoke to the architect, landscape architect, and he says he kind of felt like when he talked to me before that he in hindsight, he thought maybe he was pressuring us to have to make a decision this meeting. He said, if your board is ready to make a decision, great, but if your board needs to wait another board meeting, that could work as well. So I just wanted to share that with you. And it's not just because he's making the sign right now that's going to go in the park, but they typically, in the development, they want to put up a sign where the park is going to be, to say, the future home of Joe Smith Park, that sort of thing, and they'll put it in their marketing materials for the potential buyers. But other than that, there's not probably a real important reason to have to do it, other than I think it benefits the developer.
Is Joe Smith one of her cousins or what?
I mean, did you, after sending out the letter, did you have anyone?
We tried.
Yeah.
Well,
I
want to share with you too, just a real quick story. When I had Cindy send out, there's like 60 letters we sent out. She actually was in that area. She decided she wanted to drive over and see what the new houses look like and stuff. And she came back and came to my office and says, I don't understand something. Since I put all those street addresses together, I noticed there's some streets out there that the homes aren't even finished yet, or they've just got, they're just breaking ground on them. And she says, so they're not giving us real. I said, no, what happened is either people have purchased those and they're on the list to be built, but there's no mailboxes, there's no cars parked in the front, it's just not going to happen yet. But Silver Rock Homes has agreed to, as they continue, and again, they'll probably do it once a month or something, they'll update that address as they continue to sell homes. But the likelihood is, she says she only counted 12 homes that actually she saw car parks everywhere. I said, that's probably true, and we'll probably find out a lot of these letters will be trickling back to us, unless they forward them to someone else. But if you were to go out there, you'll find out that 112 Bain Avenue, there's not a house there, but it has been.
No, there are many. My daughter's out there. Yeah, dude, she's got one neighbor, and the rest of the street is just dirt.
Oh, your daughter?
Yeah, my daughter's out there.
Oh, she's moved in now.
Why
Yeah.
isn't she here tonight?
She's at work right now.
Hey, that.
But
Yeah, she
yeah,
was okay for that.
I did ask her if she got a letter about the name to let me know and send me for that and talk to her in a couple of days.
It is a little disappointing that we don't have someone here, but at the same time too, I'm sure when people are buying houses right now, they know there's going to be a park, and they may not be from this area. There's a whole list of reasons why this may not be at the top of their list, but I think that Alan brought it up a couple meetings ago that we should start targeting these folks as we go through the process. Even once once we start building the park, it's nice to send a letter out to them, say, hey, you'll notice some construction out there. We're beginning to build the park, and give them timelines and those kind of things. And eventually, I think that as they kind of become part of that community, I don't know if we'll see them or not. I hope we do, is for good reasons and not bad reasons. But anyway, I do want to let the board know we did reach out to the information that was with the addresses provided by Silver Rock.
So does staff have any suggested names?
I have not sat down with the staff and asked them what their preferences are. One thing I would like to say to the board is, we talked about this when you passed the what do you call it? Geez, that's your mind, what I call it. policy on park naming and facility naming is that I think it's a good thing to do, and I think that as we go forward, when you look at our community center, I mean, I think it's been pointed out many times before, we don't have a sign that's in front of our property off of Watt Avenue that says, you know, Alan Montre Community Center or whatever it is, or, you know, a long-term employee of the district or a person who contributed a lot to the community. You know, those are good things. Rather than say the community center, it'd be nice to associate a name to it. And as we look at any particular important features that, you know, within a park that we want to maybe apply some recognition to. So I'd like to start bringing these to you. So think about this maybe as the first one, but naming the community center, I think, is probably bigger than naming that park, because I think that
More people can see this.
yeah. So if you like, staff can come back at the next meeting with some ideas, but you you folks are part of the community here, and you probably have a greater depth of information and knowledge than we do.
Yeah, I Googled, oh, I'm sorry.
Sorry, correct me if I'm wrong, but don't we have the Roger Dickinson shade structure?
Yes.
Yes, okay. So we have named things, but
We have,
Yes.
there's.
not very much.
And we have, I think there's is it a park bench, Scott, that's out of the Freedom Park that's named after the former administrator?
No, there's a memorial stone
With a plaque on it.
with a plaque that was that honors a previous park. The board worked that process.
I did something for Katie too.
Well, see, that's the only person that come, when I was going through this today, that's the first person that came to my head. Because I see what she did for me when I had that baseball league out here, because we were bad to here. So it took me time to build that rapport with her to get her to let us go back here. You know, I mean.
I tell you, I think that because she was here when these buildings were built,
Right.
that community center, that might probably be more important than the
Yeah.
park, which she was part of the park, did that park development 10 years ago when it was kind of kicking around a little bit, and it didn't happen. But, that was a name that, if we have tossed around the name of her, we thought that was, because she was an administrator for, only here for 40 years.
40 years.
Yes,
I mean, my
It's
kids
not like
like
they have-
they called there.
Yeah, there's people I went to school with when she lived in her husband lived in North Highland, where she was their neighbor. Yeah, she's very well known.
Mhm.
But you don't have to name it after a person. You could certainly name that park after,
Yeah, well, I mean, of course, I thought of this too. It's like, okay, so that's called Alberta Park, but isn't there Alberta Park? I mean, isn't it real in Alberta Park and Recreation District?
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
what
I
I.
didn't want to go there.
Yeah, that's why Alberta Park. Yeah.
Right.
and you'll notice that on a lot of the documents for that development in the park, you'll see that they call it Alberta, the park itself, they call it Alberta Park. That's just a working name. They do that for every
Yeah, no,
park
I-
and building and new development. They just do that, so they call it something until whatever government agency, in this case our board, would take the position of actually giving it a name. So it's your choice. We can put it on next month's agenda and come back again.
I actually had it to say later, but I will not be at the next meeting. That doesn't mean that we can't postpone this to the next meeting, but just FYI.
I mean, did you?
I looked up some stuff, I just looked up some stuff, and some names, of old folks, and, they were just, there's people who went like national, like Scott Galvin, you know what I mean? Like, everybody knows him.
Yeah.
There's the Dallas Cowboys, and other football team, there's some porn star and all that.
I saw that
That's looking
too.
real good on the community.
Yeah, we'll pass on that one.
You had me to the last party.
But, I also looked at some flowers, because I kind of thought, I'm thinking, okay, and I kind of agree with you, like Alberta Park, and this don't even belong in North Island, that's the kind of thing that kind of goes through my head. Because you have Cherry Island Golf Course over there, and, Green, what do you call Hamlet Greens, that golf course as well, and I was thinking, is there a flower, I don't think I put plants, is there a kind of flower over there?
Well, I know we can come back with some ideas for the board to help, but you weren't here, I don't think, Pedro, but when I first got here in the park, they were just getting to that part, kind of the idea off the ground a little bit, there was actually some meetings. What's the meeting the group called that part of the county board of supervisors?
Animal planning.
Yes,
Oh,
there's a
that
planning
one.
group, and of course they've canceled 4 of the last 5 meetings that they've had. Kind of a neighborhood type of,
All the
and not only were they initially
Okay.
opposed to that development, which they came around and they agreed to it, but there were some people who had asked the developer, could you name it, make sure that you won't name anything with North Highlands on that park development, because, you know, North Highlands isn't quite.
Oh,
And
excuse me.
I think I shared that with you guys 3 years ago.
Yes.
I was very offended by it, to be honest with you, that
It's,
you're
yeah.
ashamed of where you live. That's not good. And he said, no, he just said, hey, Alberta Park was that's just the name they gave. I would have certainly come up with a different name than Alberta Park, because it's just confusion. But they don't see it that way, because they're not dealing with subdivision.
But it is off Alberta Road, so
Right.
there is some
It's a main road.
Yeah, I got it.
significance.
They could have named it the park development behind Walmart if they wanted to, I guess. So would you like for the board to come back?
Yeah, it seems
Would you
so.
like to wait for the February meeting, so when Alan's back?
Yeah, I think so.
If everybody's comfortable in January, don't wait for me.
I don't think it's any problem if you wait till February.
No, and I mean, you know, we have the holidays this month and everything, so gives people
You
time.
get a chance to look at some things, and then again, the board certainly will offer some ideas for you, but you can take them or leave them as you choose, but.
If possible then, if you're talking about naming that or naming this structure, you can come back at the same time
We can do both.
and do both.
I'm good with that.
I think that there's no reason why we can't do that.
Okay.
And then Zach will be here.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, let's go ahead
Okay.
and table that for the word meeting. And then if staff has any recommendations, or, I don't know, think the kids in the after school program might want to do an evening contest? Or is that dangerous? Or is that a dangerous?
it is.
Okay,
It
okay.
might be a hidden vibe and a hidden word in there.
It'd be called like Trolls Park or something like that, like there were hot movies that came out, Cocoa Park.
You know, the problem is that sometimes when you get into these, it's just, when you get into a public naming situation, you gotta be careful.
Yeah.
Because if they present a name and you don't like it, it's a lot worse to try to undo what you just did without offending people. It's like you asked for our assistance and then you don't like it when we gave you it. And, yeah, those are a little touchy sometimes. But anyway, we'll come back in February with some recommendations for the community center and for the park as well.
All right, thank you, Larry. Okay, so 10B2, election of board officers for the 2018 calendar year.
I got a perfect one here.
Oh, so for which?
For chairperson, I'm gonna nominate you.
Are you sure?
I ain't just, I just feel a second coming.
I think
I'm not standing in the way.
I'm gonna nominate Zach because he should be here.
No, his wife told him where he had to be.
Well, that's so well, as she should.
I move to close the nominations.
Thank you. Just end the torture. Okay. I guess no one wanted to second Zach, so all those in favor of nominating me for sure.
Aye.
No. It still passes. Okay. Bye.
Do you really mean no, or are you just joking?
I'm really saying no, but it's okay.
No,
I'm
Larry,
outnumbered.
no.
It's not like a 2-2, then we have to table it.
You did a fine job since I've been here. I just
All right,
figured, why
thank you,
change?
Kat. I just like being behind the scenes, that's all. I think that's all right. I mean, I've been in front of the camera 20 years, so, you know, I'm better with it than my first 10. So. Okay, so for vice chair,
Either you want to do it? Vice chair?
I know I can't be vice chair.
Then look at you.
I mean,
It's basically, all you have to do is if she's not here, you run the meeting.
And that's extremely rare.
you guys seniority don't need to run it. It don't matter.
I'll do it again, I don't have a problem. but I
Go
just-
for it, man, go for it.
I'll do it, I'll do it.
Okay.
Yeah.
You know,
Oh,
I mean, I don't want to leave.
All right.
Yeah.
I'll
No,
be
you
great,
can.
I'll wait for the next time.
All right. Any more nominations? Okay, all those in favor of Pat for vice chair, say aye.
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 Did you tell Patrick I missed 6 meetings?
Yeah, keep that clear.
I think
Pedro.
It's okay though.
I
I
think
get through it all.
I missed 2 meetings in 20 years, and one of them was for an operation, so.
Don't have another one for.
Oh, I missed more than that.
That's one.
I know you missed more than that, but some of us for work. It's all good. So secretary, so who's?
I don't know, Zach's done a good job this year.
It's leaving.
Okay.
I'll second that.
Okay, any more nominations for secretary? Especially when he's not here, I know. Okay, all those in favor for Zach being secretary, say aye. Aye, motion passes, thank you. So if any of you have a burning desire to be on any particular committee, please let me know, email me, or if you're happy, let me know that too. So, all right, sounds good. So, okay, we are at payment of the bills. So, does anyone have any questions of staff? Oh, Helen.
So I think this is a typo, but I'm just asking. Under 2061 membership, CSDS?
Yes, it's that.
CSDA?
Yes.
Okay. I just didn't know if it was something new I didn't know about.
That's a new.
I mean, I didn't.
I'm naming people now.
There you go. That's fine. I just saw that and I just wasn't real sure. That's all I had.
So, any other questions?
I'll make a motion to ratify payment of the bills.
Is there any more comments or questions? Okay, all those in favor? Aye, motion passes. So, we are going to recess and then we are going to go into closed session. The next regular meeting of the Board of Directors of the North Highlands Recreation Park District will be on January 11th, 2018 at 6 p.m. Oh, I'm sorry.
I just wanted again to highlight that I will not be at the next meeting. This is what I normally tell you.
Okay.
I'll be somewhere in the middle of Caribbean.
I'm sorry. Safe travels. Have a fantastic time. Are you going on Disney?
Sure.
All right. Say hi to Mindy.
I will.
Thank you. And wanted to, she's like, doing a hula or something. So, okay. January 11th, 2018 at 6:30 p.m. in the North Highlands Recreation Center, 6040 Watt Avenue, North Highlands. This meeting is in recess.